Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here with Miss Carrie's Creations, and I'm going to be sharing my monthly challenge sketch project for Hip Kit Club. I will be using components from the February Always and Forever kit, which as you can see is filled with beautiful patterns and colors. Here are a few of the items I'll be using today from the February Hip Kit Club kits. If you're new to these kits, I'm going to share real quick just a few of my favorite items. The pattern papers are always filled with beautiful prints, and there are coordinating cardstock packs that you can add. I also enjoy their puffy and chipboard stickers, especially the florals and how well they coordinate with the rest of the collection. This month there are some gorgeous vellum pieces. Vellum is one of those textures that I use whenever I can. You're also going to find some coordinating dies, color kits, stencils, stamps, and all sorts of other items on the site. I'll be using a few of those on my layout today, and I'll make sure to add the list in the description below for you to view. Here is the challenge sketch that I'll be working with today. I have this lovely photo of our daughter in softer colors that's going to be the focal point of this design. In the sketch, there are some florals, which I'll be using, some stripes or paint swishing in the background, and a large title. I don't know that I'll be doing any paint swishing today, but I do like the idea of the stripes, so I'm going to recreate that with pattern paper. I've selected the Snowdrop cardstock from my background. This has some very pale pink hearts that are going to give me just a little bit of color behind all my elements. For the striped pieces, I'm going to add some torn strips of paper. I'm going to stick with a softer palette of colors with blues and greens. I've cut the two pattern papers at 1.5 inches wide, and I'm going to layer these next to the photo. In between those, I want to create a little break in the pattern, so I'm going to bring in a neutral with this softer gray floral. These are cut at 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm going to lay them in between the other strips. The sketch shows that those stripes continue behind the photo, but I want my photo to be able to stand out against those patterns. So I've used this lattice background slimline die to cut a panel from pattern paper. This die fits a standard slimline card front, but I always like finding other ways to use my dies, and this one is perfect for scrapbook layouts. I'm attaching this to some seafoam cardstock with some liquid adhesive, and then I'll trim this down and lay it down on the layout. This is such a gorgeous color combination amongst all those other patterns. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of sewing on this page, and then I'll add some florals. Off camera, I added the straight stitching and zigzag stitching to the paper strips. This brought in some great texture. I have also added a pocket to the back of that slimline die cut. This is where I will tuck my journaling when I'm finished with the page. Now I want to bring in those florals like it was shown in the sketch. I'm going to start by adding some of the vellum leaves. These look like soft stitched designs in the vellum, and they're so lovely. The next step is to layer the cardstock sticker flowers. It always takes me some time to arrange these a bit. I like to place foam tape on the back with a backing sheet, or use a little anti-static powder to remove the stickiness from my stickers so that I can arrange them before committing to their placement. I start with the heavier florals near the base of the page, and then I work with the mid-size and tuck in the smaller pieces. I try to balance the colors of the florals when I'm working with them. At the top, I added a red-orange floral, so I brought in another one near the base. I'll bring in a third flower with this color in the center so that I have an odd number of this color in the design. Now, if you feel like a color isn't working for you, you can always cover it up with another piece. On this page, I wanted a cooler color palette, so I'm going to cover a few of the larger yellow flowers with others to soften this up a bit. While I adhere these elements in place, I would love it if you tapped that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you've been a subscriber for a while, let me know that you're enjoying this video by tapping that thumbs up icon or leaving a comment below. I'm finishing up adding those floral pieces to the page. There is quite a bit of dimension here created with foam tape, but I love adding layers to my pages. If you're one who prefers flatter layers, you can leave off the foam tape and the page will look just as beautiful. When I was adding the florals to the page, I noticed that one of the floral clusters had some darker blue leaves. So I'm going to add a few more near the base of the page. I'm also going to add some leaves to that larger flower in the center. I'm going to point these leaves towards the photo so they work almost like an arrow leading your eye to the focal point of the page. To fill in some of the spaces, I'm going to bring in some black vellum leaves. These are going to create some contrast in the design and soften the brighter colors. They also mimic the pattern on the right side of the page, making this look like that pattern goes under the photo, just like it was shown in the sketch. Off camera, I cut a tab from some pale mist cardstock and adhered it to a journaling card. I stitched this little vellum phrase over the top. The tab itself was cut with the Mixed Shapes die plate. This lines up with the Pocket Life prints, but I plan on using these little shaped dies for many of my projects. This is going to tuck right behind the photo and be a place where I can type up my story or sentiments. Now I want to create a few layers behind the photo and finish up this page. I'm going to bring in the chipboard frames and cut two of these apart to make a frame on the right side of my photo. This is just going to help that photo stand out a little bit more on the page. I'm going to place two of the pieces at the base of the photo, and I plan on tucking two more in the upper right corner. To the right of the photo, I'm going to bring in two of the string wreaths. This is another die set that's available with the February collection. They are very thin, so I'm going to gently tuck them in place, and then I'll tack them down in a few spots with liquid adhesive once I'm done layering. My title is going to be this die cut that says, "You are amazing." At this point, I realized that I forgot to add the rest of the cardstock frames, so I had to work around everything to get these in place. These are just those two cardstock frames I cut apart and placed behind the photo, and now they look like larger frames. The last item I added was a darker blue butterfly. This really brought the page to life and was a great finishing piece. I'm going to bring the sketch back so that we can compare the two pages. Here we have the completed page I created and the sketch that was designed for the Hip Kit March Challenge. The swishes in the background were created with those lovely Always and Forever patterns that I tore and stitched in place. Instead of having the swishes go behind the photo, I added a large vertical element using a slimline die. I like how this makes that photo really stand out. I did keep the florals in the same place, but I moved the title to a different position and made it a little bit smaller. I'm going to share a few close-ups of this layout so that you can see all the lovely details. The florals, patterns, and colors in this collection are absolutely beautiful, and the little add-ons like dies and solid cardstocks pair perfectly with the monthly kit. If you're a member, you save $5 on that monthly kit, and you save 15% on the additional pieces, plus they ship free with your main kit, so it's definitely worth becoming a member if you enjoy all these little add-ons. I hope that today's project inspired you to join our monthly challenge in the Hip Kit Club group. I want to thank you for joining me for another paper crafting project. If you would like to see more of my creations, you can visit my channel or visit Miss Carrie's Creations online. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies I used, feel free to leave a comment below. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.